Ether.
Ethereum is
Ethereum.
Ethereum.
Ethereum. What's Ethereum?
Yes, it's time to be buying Ethereum right now. This is probably your final chance before the price of Ethereum starts moving up significantly and your potential returns get smaller and smaller. In this video, I'm going to break down for you with charts, facts, and by consulting some of the top experts in the space why Ethereum is about to start seriously outperforming, and why this may be your last chance to be buying. Also, make sure to stick around to the end of the video where I'll break down what I think is the most realistic price prediction we'll see for Ethereum by the top of this crypto market cycle. But without further ado, let's jump into the top 6 reasons you need to be buying Ethereum right now. Okay, the first reason Ethereum is highly likely going to start outperforming Bitcoin is because of history. Of course, history never repeats, but as the saying goes, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. As you are most likely well aware, Bitcoin and crypto follows a fairly predictable 4-year cycle. That 4-year cycle is made up of 4 seasons. We have crypto winter, which moves into crypto autumn. Then we have crypto summer, which moves into crypto spring. We are currently about halfway through our current crypto bull cycle, and there's been nothing yet in the cycle that jumps out to me that would suggest that we're not going to continue to see this 4-year cycle into the future. Outside of Bitcoin making a new all-time high before the Bitcoin halving, which is unique to this cycle, there's been nothing out of the blue that has surprised me thus far. And if you look at the 2 previous cycles, prices are actually tracking very similarly. So I see no reason as to why we can't expect the second half of the bull run to play out similarly to how previous cycles have done in the past. With all of that said, I think it's useful to go back and look at the 2 previous cycles to see how Ethereum performed against Bitcoin at this point in the cycle. First off, if we look at the 2016-2017 cycle, if we look at the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum at the point of the 2016 halving to the point where the crypto market topped, Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin by 550%. Then if we look at the 2020-2021 cycle, if we look at the 2020 Bitcoin halving and the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum to the price where they topped in 2021, Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin in that period by 250%. Having said that, that's only 2 previous data points, but I've seen nothing in this current cycle that says Ethereum won't outperform like we've seen it in the 2 previous cycles. In our current cycle, we're just after the Bitcoin halving, and it's always at this point in the cycle to where the crypto market tops that Ethereum starts to seriously outperform Bitcoin. Another trend that sticks out is that in each cycle, the return of Ethereum versus Bitcoin does decrease. In 2016, it was a 550% return. In 2020, it was a 250% return. So I think this cycle, from this point to the market cycle peak, we see somewhere in the realm of 125%. But we'll touch on that more later on. Now, before we jump into reason 2, and I hate to do it, but less than 5% of our viewers on the channel are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance, investing, or crypto content, it would mean the world and helps the channel out so much if you could take 5 seconds and hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and it only takes you a few seconds, and it helps us get better guests on the channel and put out better content for you. Move on to reason number 2, and that is the Ethereum ETFs are going to crush. As I'm sure you've seen by now, spot Ethereum ETFs have been approved for trading just like Bitcoin. By the time you're watching this video, the Ethereum ETFs have probably already started trading. However, I don't think the market has properly priced them in yet. The reason this is because the approval of the Ethereum ETFs have now seriously de-risked Ethereum. For years now, the biggest risk that Ethereum had hanging over its head was that the SEC was going to come in and classify it as a security. There was always a big risk that the SEC was going to sue Ethereum, they were going to bring legal action against them, and this was a big dark cloud that always hung above ETH. However, with the approval of these Ethereum ETFs, which no analyst expected to come so soon, Ethereum has now been seriously de-risked. There's also many amateurs or people who are new to the space who think the Ethereum ETFs are going to be underwhelming or they're not going to perform very well. However, after asking the experts and top people in the space who understand this better than us, I seriously disagree. First off, the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs pretty much shattered every single ETF record that they could have. They were an overwhelming success and saw way more flows than most people were expecting. So this goes to show that institutions, sophisticated investors, and Wall Street does have an appetite for crypto-related products. Various experts in the space who know this stuff bet have made some different predictions for how much inflows we see into the Ethereum ETFs compared to Bitcoin, and we'll go through them now. First off, we have Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balkanaus. He thinks we see around 15 to 20% of the flows the Bitcoin ETF saw into the Ethereum ETFs. We then have Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seyfarth, who is a bit more optimistic and thinks we see 20 to 25%. And then finally, Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise, who are the 5th largest Bitcoin ETF issuer, thinks we see around 25% of the inflows that the Bitcoin ETF saw. He also thinks we see 15 billion in net new inflows over the first 18 months of the Ethereum ETFs trading. If we compare these numbers against what we see in other countries, they seem pretty accurate. For example, there are already Ethereum ETFs live in Europe. In Europe, Ethereum exchange-traded products saw 22% of the flows that Bitcoin exchange-traded products saw. We also have the same situation in Canada, and their Ethereum exchange-traded products saw 23% of the flows that their Bitcoin exchange-traded products saw. Given all of these predictions and what we've seen in Europe and Canada, somewhere in the range of 20 to 25% of what we saw for the Bitcoin ETF seems about accurate. Now, 20 to 25% of the inflows that the Bitcoin ETFs flow doesn't seem that big. However, if you think that, you would be wrong, and here's why. First off, the Bitcoin ETFs were record-breaking. They shattered pretty much every single ETF record that they could. Second, let's not forget that the Bitcoin ETF inflows pushed the price of Bitcoin to a new all-time high before its halving. And thirdly, Ethereum is only about 1/3 the size of Bitcoin, so if we see 20 to 25% of the flows that the Bitcoin ETF saw, this will still be massive in relation to their size. Ethereum's price is going to be much more sensitive to any inflows to the Ethereum ETFs than the Bitcoin price was in comparison to the Bitcoin ETF inflows. And this all comes down to Ethereum supply dynamics, which we'll get into in reason 3. So although the Ethereum ETFs could be a flop and their initial launch could be underwhelming, if we look at Europe, Canada, and the top experts in the space, I just don't think it's very likely that they are. Over time, I think we see serious inflows into these Ethereum ETFs, and the market isn't pricing this in yet. Reason number 3 is Ethereum is headed for a serious supply shock, and there's 2 main reasons for this. The first reason is Ethereum's net new supply coming onto the market. After the Ethereum merge in 2022, Ethereum went from proof of work to proof of stake. Ever since the date that it did this, the net new supply of Ethereum being put onto the market has actually been negative. This means for over a year and nearly 2 years now, Ethereum's new supply has been deflationary. Although over time it does go up and down the net new issuance, the trend is very clear. No new Ethereum being put onto the market. This is very different to Bitcoin, which after the 2024 Bitcoin halving, it still has an inflation rate of 1.7%. This means from any new demand we see from institutional flows into these Ethereum ETFs is going to be much more impactful on the Ethereum price because there's just no new Ethereum being put onto the market. The other reason Ethereum is headed for a serious supply shock is staking. If you are a holder of Ethereum, it has a unique feature in which you can stake your Ethereum to the network. Essentially, you can earn a small bit of interest on your staked Ethereum. Right now, there is over 33 million Ethereum that are currently staked, and over time, this number has only increased. The reason this is bullish is because any Ethereum that is staked is indicative that the people that are staking it are long-term holders. With over 33 million ETH being staked currently, that represents over 27% of the total Ethereum supply, which means we can infer that over a quarter of Ethereum supply is being held by long-term holders who have faith in the Ethereum network. So ever since the merge, we have no new Ethereum being put onto the market. In fact, it's actually been deflationary, and over time, we constantly have more and more Ethereum being staked, with over a quarter of the supply now staked, held by long-term holders. If you combine this ever-decreasing supply with new demand from the Ethereum ETFs, the laws of supply and demand can only suggest that price has one way to go. Finally, we can confirm that a supply shock is on its way for Ethereum by looking at the total supply being held on exchanges. The amount of Ethereum being held on exchanges has only fallen since 2020, and it's now at levels we haven't seen since 2016. Just as a reminder, any Ethereum that is being held on centralized exchanges indicates that it's ready to sell. The lower this number is indicates that more and more of the supply is being held by long-term holders who are putting it into cold storage or who are staking it themselves. So seeing the supply fall on exchanges is very bullish and indicates that a supply shock is underway. Reason number 4 you should consider buying Ethereum is the law of large numbers. The law of large numbers when it comes to investing and assets pretty much means when an asset gets larger and larger, it becomes more mature and stable as it gets larger. We can see this with Bitcoin, as it's gotten bigger, its volatility has gone down over time. This is just logic. As an asset gets bigger and bigger, it needs more and more capital inflows to keep getting bigger and bigger as it goes. It takes a lot more capital inflows to increase the market cap of Bitcoin, which is currently at 1.1 trillion, than it does to Ethereum, which has a market cap right now of only about 380 million. To see the same returns, it takes a lot less money for Ethereum to increase than it does Bitcoin. So although we probably only see around 20 to 25% of the inflows to the Ethereum ETFs than we saw the Bitcoin ETFs, the smaller amount of inflows will still probably be just as impactful because of Ethereum's smaller market cap. Assets with smaller market caps are generally associated with higher volatility and higher potential for growth, and that is the case here with Ethereum. Reason number 5 you should consider buying Ethereum is that Ethereum is not Bitcoin. As Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise Matt Hogan has pointed out in his investor memo, Ethereum and Bitcoin target very different use cases. Bitcoin has a very clear-cut use case. It's digital gold, it protects you against monetary debasement, and is a way to safeguard your wealth. Ethereum, on the other hand, is programmable money. It has many more use cases and is much more closer to a tech stock than Bitcoin is. There's so many more use cases Ethereum has that Bitcoin just doesn't have. These include tokenization, stablecoins, DeFi, gaming, and NFTs. Ethereum has many different use cases, and it's so fundamentally different to Bitcoin. If you think that blockchain and the crypto space is going to get much larger over the coming years, you need to be diversified out and in different use cases. To capture a broad slice of the entire market, you want all of your bases to be covered. So this would mean owning both Bitcoin and Ethereum because they are so fundamentally different and target such different use cases. The sixth and final reason you should consider adding Ethereum to your portfolio is because modern portfolio theory and math says you should. By looking back on history, and let's remember history doesn't always repeat but it often rhymes, by adding Ethereum to your portfolio, you've not only boosted your absolute returns, you've also boosted your risk-adjusted returns. This was demonstrated by Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise Matt Hogan. He compared 3 different portfolios. The first portfolio was a traditional 60-40 portfolio. The second portfolio was a portfolio with a 5% crypto allocation to just Bitcoin, and the third portfolio also had a 5% crypto allocation with 75% allocated to Bitcoin and 25% allocated to Ethereum. What he found was that not only the crypto portfolio smashed the returns of the traditional portfolio, but the portfolio that included Ethereum in it not only increased returns but also minimized your maximum drawdown. By adding Ethereum to the portfolio, you saw higher cumulative returns at 56.32%, but you also saw a lower maximum drawdown at 25.19%, which was better than the 100% Bitcoin allocation portfolio. And this makes total sense if you know modern portfolio theory. Back in the 1950s, an economist named Harry Markowitz won a Nobel Prize by developing an investment strategy that is called modern portfolio theory. Modern portfolio theory is widely used today, and if you boil it down, it pretty much just says that adding uncorrelated assets together in a portfolio will boost your overall returns while bringing down your risk. And this is the entire point of investing. You want to maximize returns whilst minimizing risk. And as Matt Hogan has demonstrated, adding Ethereum to your portfolio does just this. You get a boost in returns whilst lowering your maximum drawdown. Who wouldn't want that? Finally, guys, let's get to the thing everyone wants to know. Over the second half of this crypto bull run, what is a realistic Ethereum price target we can expect Ethereum to get to? Now, I think I've come up with a very conservative but highly likely number I think we'll get to in the second half of this bull run. But before we get to that, if you watched this far into the video, you're very clearly interested in crypto. If you want to do yourself an extremely quick 10-second favor, be sure to hit the first link in the description and sign up to my daily 5-minute crypto email newsletter called The Crypto Nutshell. It's a daily email newsletter that gives you the latest expert predictions, the latest breaking news, and any on-chain analysis that you need to know, all with the goal of making you a better crypto investor. The best part is I write it for completely free, and it always will be. Hit that first link in the description, take 5 seconds to input your email, and I'll see you in your inbox every single morning. Now, how high can Ethereum realistically go? Before we get into it, as a disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, this is just my own personal view and you'll have to come up with your own. But from all the work I've done looking at previous cycles, looking at what the top experts in the space think the ETF inflows will be, and how Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin from the halving until now, I think I've come up with a pretty realistic answer. What I think is a conservative and the most probable scenario that will play out is we will see Ethereum start to outperform Bitcoin around now until around October to November of 2025. Looking at previous cycles, I think this is when the crypto market will peak, around October or November next year. One thing we do notice in previous cycles though is that from the Bitcoin halving to the crypto market peak, we do see the trend of Ethereum start to outperform Bitcoin less and less. In 2016, we saw Ethereum outperform Bitcoin by 550%. Skip forward to 2020 and this fell to just 250%. So in each subsequent cycle, we see the return drop by about 50%. I think we see the same here. Over the next 12 to 18 months, I think we see Ethereum outperform Bitcoin by around 125%. Now, I think conservatively, Bitcoin hits around $150,000 by the crypto market peak next year. If Bitcoin does hit this height at some point in 2025, it would imply that Ethereum will get to somewhere in the realm of $13,000 to $14,000 per ETH. Now, I know that does seem insane at these current prices, but we haven't seen anything yet. Really, the second half of the bull cycle is when we start to see parabolic price moves upwards, and we haven't even seen the launch of the Ethereum ETFs yet, which are two major catalysts. On top of this, we have potentially the US elections acting as a catalyst and any monetary easing. If interest rates get cut, this would be very beneficial to the Ethereum price. So everything I've seen thus far, looking at previous cycles, and with the new Ethereum ETFs being brought in, I think a realistic price target to look for is around $13,000 to $14,000, but this may change as market dynamics change. Anyway guys, these are the 6 reasons I think you should seriously consider buying Ethereum right now and adding it to your crypto portfolio. And just to be clear, I'm not saying sell all your Bitcoin and your altcoins to put it in Ethereum. I hold both Bitcoin and Ethereum and I have them in my never sell portfolio. Lately, I've just been seeing a huge amount of negative sentiment surrounding Ethereum, and that always happens at this point in crypto cycles, and then Ethereum goes on to seriously outperform. So I wanted to just come on, remind everyone that this happens all the time and to not discount Ethereum. The approval and launch of the Ethereum ETFs have seriously de-risked it, and we've never seen supply dynamics so good for Ethereum, with a wave of new demand looking like it's coming into the space. With all of that said, let me know your thoughts and what your plans are for the second half of this crypto bull run. If you're new here, if you could do me a huge favor, take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button below. It helps out the channel more than you know. Anyway guys, I hope today's video did provide you with some value. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you all in the next video, and as always, all the best.